It was never about the $40. You know this somewhere in the back of your mind, even in the middle of the argument. The $40 was the surface. The $40 was the thing that made the conversation start. But the conversation itself, the heat of it, the specific way it escalated, the things that were said that had nothing to do with the original amount, that was about something else entirely. Money is the most common source of conflict in long-term relationships. Study after study confirms it. It outlasts sex as a source of tension. It outlasts incompatible schedules and different communication styles and the 1,000 other frictions of two people trying to share a life. Money, specifically, is the argument that keeps coming back. And it keeps coming back because the argument is almost never about money. Here is what the argument is actually about. Every person arrives in a relationship with a financial history. Not just a credit score or a savings balance, a history. A set of experiences that shaped what money means, how it feels, what it represents, what having it and not having it has cost. This history is usually invisible. It operates in the background. It has never been fully articulated, even to yourself. You grew up in a house where money was spent freely and generously, and the lesson you learned was that money is for living. Your partner grew up in a house where money was carefully saved, where spending felt like risk, and the lesson they learned was that money is for security. Neither of you chose these lessons. Both of them feel like common sense. Neither of you realizes the other one has a different version of common sense. You are not having a disagreement about the dinner. You are having a collision between two entirely different inherited philosophies about what money is for. Or you grew up watching your parents fight about money. Loudly, frighteningly, in a way that made the household feel unstable, and you learned that money conversations are dangerous. So now, when your partner raises a financial concern, even a calm one, even a reasonable one, your nervous system registers it as a threat. You shut down. You deflect. You change the subject. Your partner reads the shutdown as avoidance or indifference. The conversation becomes the fight you were trying to prevent. Or money in the house you grew up in was tied to power. The person who earned it had control. The person who didn't was dependent. You watched this. You absorbed it. And now, in your own relationship, questions about spending feel like questions about autonomy. Who gets to decide? Who has standing? Who owes an accounting? All of these are about money in the way that a symptom is about a disease. The symptom is real, but the symptom is not the thing to treat. There is a pattern that plays out in relationships so consistently it has a name in the research literature. The spender and the saver. One person in the partnership spends more freely. The other saves more cautiously. Both of them believe they are being reasonable. Both of them are responding to something real. The spender to the genuine value of experience and enjoyment in the present. The saver to the genuine uncertainty of the future and the importance of being prepared for it. Neither position is wrong, but they tend to polarize over time. The more cautious the saver becomes about money, the more the spender feels controlled and resentful, which leads to more spending as a form of assertion. The more the spender spends, the more anxious the saver becomes, which leads to tighter monitoring and more criticism. Each person's behavior is a rational response to the other person's behavior, and together they produce a spiral that neither of them started. The saver did not start the spiral by being responsible. The spender did not start it by being reckless. They started it by having different baseline assumptions about what money is for, and never fully having the conversation about it, and trying to resolve through behavior what can only be resolved through language. There is a specific dynamic that researchers who study couples and money have identified as the most destructive. It is not overspending. It is not debt, though debt makes everything worse. It is financial secrecy, the keeping of financial information from a partner in either direction. Hidden accounts, undisclosed purchases, income understated or not mentioned, debt that only one person knows about. The secrecy itself is rarely about the money. Usually it is about shame, the fear that the truth about your financial situation will change how you are seen, will introduce a power imbalance, will lead to a conversation you do not know how to have. The secrecy feels protective in the short term. It creates a private space where the difficult reality does not have to exist in the relationship. What it actually creates is a wedge. a piece of the shared life that cannot be touched. And over time, the wedge widens because the secret requires maintenance. The financial decisions you make in secret must be hidden. The lies compound. The distance grows between the life you are actually living and the life your partner thinks you are living. When it comes out, and it almost always comes out, the damage is rarely proportional to the original secret. It is proportional to the duration and the depth of the concealment. The money is recoverable. The breach of trust takes much longer. There is a version of financial secrecy that is harder to name because it does not involve lies. Exactly. It is the slow erosion of financial transparency that happens in relationships where money conversations are consistently uncomfortable. Neither person is hiding anything specific, but neither person is bringing things fully into the light either. The credit card balance is not mentioned. The savings number is vaguely known but never exactly discussed. The anxiety about the coming year is carried privately, each person protecting the other, or protecting themselves, from a conversation that feels like it might become a fight. This accumulates. Silence in one financial area creates permission for silence in another. By the time a real problem emerges, a job loss, a medical bill, a retirement account that has not grown the way it was supposed to, the couple discovers they have been managing adjacent financial lives rather than a shared one. They never decided to do this. It happened through the path of least resistance, one avoided conversation at a time. The gender dimension of this is real, and it is worth naming directly. In heterosexual couples, research consistently shows that the partner who earns more tends to have more influence over financial decisions, regardless of what the couple says they believe about equality. The earning is not formally connected to the authority, but the authority tends to follow, and women, on average, still earn less. Still more often step back from the workforce for childcare. Still more often end up, after a divorce or a death, in a financial position they did not fully understand because the financial decisions had been made by someone else. This is not about blame. It is about a pattern with real consequences. Financial dependence is one of the primary reasons people, predominantly women, though not only, stay in relationships that are no longer good for them. When you do not understand the money, when the money is not in your name, when leaving would mean starting from zero with no financial history and no income, that constraint is real. The conversation about money in a relationship is not only about values and compatibility. It is about power, about who has it, who does not, and what that means for the shape of both people's lives. There is a version of all of this that looks like partnership but isn't quite. Two people, both working, both contributing, both generally aligned on what they want. But money is handled separately. Your account, my account. We split the shared expenses, and beyond that, you do what you want with yours and I do what I want with mine. This system has real appeal. It avoids a particular kind of conflict, preserves autonomy. It removes the feeling of having to justify purchases to another person. But it also means you are never quite building anything together. The financial life is parallel, not shared. The goals are adjacent, not joint. And when something goes wrong, a job loss, a health crisis, a baby that costs more than expected, the parallel structure is suddenly revealed as insufficient. You are standing next to someone, both looking at a problem, without having built the infrastructure to solve it together. Separate accounts are fine. What is not fine is the avoidance underneath them. The choice not to talk about money because talking about money feels dangerous or uncomfortable, or like something that would change the texture of the relationship. That avoidance has costs that do not show up immediately. There is also what happens to money conversations over time in relationships where the pattern hardens. In the beginning, financial disagreements feel like disagreements, two different views, possibly resolvable. But over years, if those disagreements are not worked through, they calcify into roles. You become the irresponsible one. Your partner becomes the one who controls the money, or you become the anxious one who checks the account. Your partner becomes the one who ignores the reality. These roles are not chosen. They are produced by the pattern. And once the roles exist, each new financial conversation is not a fresh event. It is a reenactment of the established dynamic. You are not arguing about the purchase. You are playing your part in a script that was written years ago, that neither of you agreed to, that both of you feel trapped inside. Breaking out of the script requires recognizing that it is a script, that the role you are playing is not the same as who you are, that the dynamic is not a fact of the relationship, it is a habit and habits can change. The couples who navigate this well are not the ones who agree about money. Agreement is not the goal. The goal is fluency. Fluency means you can have the conversation without it becoming the fight. You can sit with the fact that you have different instincts and different histories and different tolerances for risk, and work through those differences toward decisions you can both live with. Not decisions you are both equally enthusiastic about. Decisions you can both live with. This requires something specific. Each person has to know their own financial story, not just their current financial situation, their history, the memories and the lessons and the reflexes that were installed before they were old enough to examine them. Because you cannot explain something you do not know is there, and your partner cannot understand it if you cannot name it. The conversations that change something are not the ones about whether to buy the thing or book the trip. They are the ones that go further back. What did money feel like in your house? What did you watch happen? What did you learn? Not from what was said, but from what you saw. What is the thing that makes financial conversations feel unsafe for you? These conversations are uncomfortable. They require a kind of honesty about yourself that most people reserve for therapy, not kitchen tables. But they are the ones that change the pattern, not just for this argument, but for the 30 years of arguments that would otherwise follow. The $40 will come up again. Something will. It always does. But the $40 is not the problem. It never was. It is a door into something older and more important. The question is whether you open it or keep walking past it until it becomes $100 and then $1,000 and then a number that is much harder to come back from. You do not have to agree about money. You have to understand each other about it. That is a different project, a longer one, and it does not start with the argument. It starts with a conversation before the argument about where each of you actually came from. That conversation is uncomfortable. Almost no one has it voluntarily, but the couples who have it, even once, even imperfectly, tend to fight about money differently afterward. Not less, differently, with a little more distance between the $40 and everything it was standing in for. That distance is not nothing. It is, in fact, the whole thing.